I am your host, Carrie Scollon, giving us different perspectives on where we are and where we want to go on our journey. Thanks for being here, and I look forward to spending some time with you. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Founder Series. I'm your host, Carrie Scollon. We have another amazing guest coming up. You know, our intention and our mission and our focus with the Founder Series is to bring you inspiring stories from women who I've met along my journey to really help maybe see things from a different perspective, or to give you an example of what you may be searching for, and also to collaborate with these women because they all have an amazing and unique gift to offer us. And it all seems like we are in the same mindset of the more we can share, the more we can help other women. It's lifting us all up and everybody benefits from that. So I have with me today, Lesa Mueller from the Lesa Mueller Consulting and Coaching, and she is going to talk to us about discovering our next level. And the topic of our show is called Live Out Loud. So Lesa, I welcome you. I thank you so much for being here. And I'm going to let you go. I know the first thing that I will say is I know that you've got 3 grown children of your own, two stepchildren grown, and 3 beautiful grandsons that I know from speaking from not my experience, but many of my friends and sisters who have grandchildren. It's been the most amazing time of their life. And you're recently married. So take it away. Thank you again. And I can't wait to hear your story.
Thanks so much for having me, Carrie. It's a pleasure to be here. Yeah, it's, the journey of life is always so interesting, and I love connecting with other women and hearing their stories. I think we can all learn from each other and support each other, and truly creating that community is so important. And that's really what has brought me forward to where I am today, having that supportive, strong female community specifically. We have relationships in our lives that come and go, and our girlfriends and that support network always stays. So,
100%.
Yeah. So, in terms of family, I've been a single mom since my youngest was 18 months old. And, life was hard. You did what you needed to do to get through. There was times where I worked 2 and 3 jobs, some of them as sideline entrepreneur. And, and you do what you need to do to get through. But through all of that, what I really learned about myself was the need to speak out loud and not just hold it all inside. And that's where my Live Out Loud comes from. It comes from being able to share those thoughts and feelings, being able to share the knowledge and experiences, because again, we can all learn and grow together.
I agree. And so many of us, as we were talking before, we have that, it's like in us to want to share when we've learned something that we love, or that made a difference for us. So it's like we kind of want to scream it from the rooftops. And I found that not everybody wants to hear that. So there's kind of a pulling back, but then being more impactful in a way that may serve more people. But first of all, we needed to share what it was that we were excited about or learned.
Absolutely.
That we thought could help other women. So I think that's why we connected so quickly, because I think our mission is very similar when it comes to that. Absolutely. So that's kind of what started you on that journey was the sharing piece, right? And connection so important.
Yeah. And I look back at, as a single parent, I had a solid career in the financial industry, doing investing and financial planning, but I didn't love it. And, it served what I needed for my family. But once my kids were getting to that stage of moving on, it was like, okay, this next chapter needs to be about me. And I ended up transferring with the same company, taking a more support role. But it also helped me leave a small community that I was living in. And I just didn't see the opportunity for me there. So that was probably my biggest barrier, was to make that move, because it was the guilt of leaving aging parents. It was the guilt of leaving family property. It was, kind of a perception of failure because, I could no longer manage what I had on my own. And in reality, I wasn't finding a man out there to support me to, be my partner. And I'm like, I want connection. I want that other part of my life. So I moved, and I moved closer to Edmonton, where I am now. And within 3 months, I met the man that I always knew would come someday.
Oh.
And yeah, I mean, that's just a whole nother piece, but.
Well, I love that. I love that story. And I want to touch a bit on that, because that's where I wanted to go with this. It's where we find that courage to go, you know what, this isn't working for me anymore. And when you talked about, sometimes we stay in situations where we're not growing. And to me, life is all about growth and expansion and different perspectives and new experiences. And I feel it's really important to do what's going to make you happy and fulfilled. And so much of what held me back, I would say, was the worry about disappointing other people.
Absolutely.
And that was a fear. And we talked about the fear and the love piece previously, but it's usually fear that holds us back. But it's the love of something else, or it's the love of the growth, that's coming. And like you said, you knew there was somebody out there for you. You had that belief, which I'm a strong supporter of that, like seeing it as believing it. You've got to have some sort of faith that whatever is out there, even though you don't know for sure, it's there if you keep moving towards it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So you left family, moved, and kind of started fresh.
Yeah. And, and I took a support role to get me to the next step. I knew it wouldn't be my forever position when I took it. And it was just that, COVID hit, and, all this online learning just became so easy and accessible. Yeah. And, I, just had that feeling like it was time for me to move on. And I sat back and I looked at what were all the things that I've loved about, the different roles I've worked in my career. And it was about people. It was about helping people find their path, to find clarity, to make connections. And that's what brought me to coaching. And I ended up doing my certification as a leadership coach, which was transformational for myself. Originally I did it for the ticket, right? To have a certification behind my name, because I felt like I needed to have that valid piece of paper to be able to go out, hang my shingle and say, okay, here I am.
Right. Yes.
What I learned about myself in the process was just transformational. And I'm able to now bring that to other people as well in a new light. So yeah.
I think that's, I've heard that before with any type of certification, doesn't matter what it is that you do. What you learn about yourself in the process is really what you're bringing to your clients. Yeah, maybe some of the tools and pieces that you learned from the certification, but it's really about your inner transformation that you can help them with.
Yeah.
And what we, you've heard that phrase before, we teach what we want to learn. And I love that, because I want to learn so much. And in turn, I want to share it. So I want to teach it. And I don't want to keep it all inside just for me. I want to put it out there. And one of my fears was not being enough and not knowing enough, and it's not good enough. And once I let that go, and we're going to talk about perfectionism in a minute, that really freed me up and went, you know what, I'm going to be me. I'm going to share what I want to share. I'm going to share what I hope helps other women, people in general. But perfectionism is something that stops a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And that's also what keeps us living in our head and not living out loud. And living in our head, I mean, we're our own worst critics, right? We bottle that up. We have those internal battles, and everybody does it. it's how to move through that. So, coming out with this, personal brand that I'm working on, Live Out Loud, is also holding me accountable to do that, right? To do what I'm building. And I've been practicing that with my friends. I've been saying, okay, you need to hold me accountable to this, and just building that network. So, telling people, okay, I'm writing a book, because when you start to say those things, again, it holds you accountable and it helps bring that confidence. But that physical, actually saying words out loud, brings a whole different level of understanding and commitment. And that's also what coaching is about. So it's not that you don't know those tools or those steps that need to be taken, but it's the process of saying it out loud that is magical.
Well, and saying it out loud, writing it out, sharing it, it also does something to our subconscious mind too, right? Which I believe in, because once you kind of own it, like, hey, you know what? I'm starting this show. I'm really scared, but I'm doing it anyways. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but you start sharing it. And then all of a sudden things start to open up. And then you start having different conversations. And then you start connecting with different people. And the people that you're talking to are going, you got to talk to this person, or, oh, I want to make sure my friend hears what you have to say, because what you're saying is very valuable. So I think, like you said, living out loud and not keeping everything in here, it just opens up a whole new world for us.
It does.
And we may not speak it out loud to everybody, because when we're in that start of that creation mode, it's hard to have any critic out there, right? At that point, right? So when we start to live out loud, we're starting with the people that we know are going to support us, because we need a little bit of, courage and support from them. And then it keeps getting big.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yes. Because if we told everybody what we were thinking, I don't know, for me, I'd probably be locked up. So I needed to just start small, but then it's beautiful how it blossoms once we allow that to happen. But it takes courage to do that.
It does. When you reach that place, though, where what you're doing isn't working, then I think you're a little more willing to step out. I think
that's a great point.
Everybody has a different experience. There's no two people the same, and you have to do what works for you. So, even in our.
Sorry, do you believe then that we just all get to a certain point where we're just not willing to either put up with that anymore, or to live that way, or we're sick and tired of being sick and tired? Like, there's usually something that's like, okay, I've had enough. I've got to make a change. What's that going to be?
I think we all do to some degree, whether it's family, friends, business, relationships, whatever. I think we do to some degree. If I could take what I know now and rewind 20 years, I probably would.
Right.
I wouldn't go back 20 years without that knowledge.
Yes, absolutely. So when you talk about you help people with their clarity and kind of finding their purpose, you are helping because you went through that process yourself.
Absolutely.
So I found for me, I was doing everything, but I wasn't fulfilled. I had everything that I wanted, but there was something that was missing.
Sure.
That wasn't filling me up.
Sure.
So I know for you did find something that provided that for you.
Yeah. All those years as a single parent, I didn't have a lot of resources to do a lot of external things to, create environments that I wanted to be in, or new experiences. And I ended up finding Rotary. A good friend of mine voluntold me, and I fell in love with the programs. It was specifically in youth programming. And 13 years later, I'm still involved at the district level in youth programming through Rotary. And, over the years, I've mentored over 2,500 youth, between kind of 14 and 25, and building programs that grow other leaders. So, it's all about succession for Rotary, but it's also, growing good humans and helping them see at a younger age they're capable of. I look back and go, oh, if I had had that confidence at that age, how much more I could have achieved and a bigger impact I could have made to this point. And it's been beautiful. And, all the people ask me, why do you put so much time and resources into this? It's like, well, I get probably more than I give, and that's the beauty in what I've learned about myself, what the youth have taught me. And the mentorship has gone both ways, because these youth are techno dynamites. And, some of the youth committees that I've worked with over the years probably go, oh man, it's like, okay, Google Drive, it's not that hard, but it is. It is what
some of us. Yes, absolutely. I love that you bring in the youth as well, because I have 3 daughters, and I swear they are my biggest teachers. I mean, I adore them. They drive me crazy, but I learn so much, and I drive them crazy. My technical skills, I think if I'm phoning them, they're like, oh no, what's mom done now? Like, I didn't even open the laptop the first time. I'm looking for a little switch, and I have to phone my daughter because I borrowed her laptop. This was a few years ago. I'm like, Jamie, I can't find, like, where the heck is the slider thing to open up this laptop? She goes, oh my God, Mom, it's none. I'm like, well, that's an embarrassing thing to say, but when you're not used to the technology, and I was a stay-at-home mom, so I wasn't in the workforce when all of this stuff came out. But I love the conversations we have with them, the conversations you must have with the 2,500 youth that you volunteered with. Is it a wish that some of this stuff could be brought into the school so these kids could learn these incredible leadership and more about themselves? Like, oh my goodness, there's got to be more in the actual school system.
There's so much opportunity, and it's tough to get into the schools. It really is.
Well, I honor you for your work with the youth, because I think everybody again benefits from that. And these young kids to think, if we'd had that 20 years, well, probably a little bit more than that, maybe 40 years ago. I mean, you got to be happy where we are now. It's, we are where we are because of what we've come through. But if we can give them anything that we wish we would have had, and as far as that kind of stuff, the confidence, the understanding who you are, how you work. I know that you're doing something else with helping. You have a tool that can help really clarify some of, and is it strengths? Can you explain that a little bit for me?
Yeah, I'm becoming certified with Everything DISC and the 5 Behaviors programs, which are Wiley brands. I'm an authorized partner. So they're hands-on tools that help identify personality traits and kind of how we operate. And there's different streams. There's, for leadership, there's Agile EQ, there's work of leaders, workplace, there's lots of different streams there. And then we bring that back to team environments and how to grow our teams. So, there's some hands-on resources to help with that conversation and bringing people together and putting people on the same playing field, right? So I think sometimes when we work in teams, even just having someone come in and facilitate, as opposed to having the manager or the team leader or owner be that person, again, it just brings everybody down to that same level. And there's a lot of value there. And, you try and create a fun environment where everyone's engaged and brings value, right? So
for sure. So you do that in corporate business settings, but you also do one-on-one. And now I would love to dive into a little bit of the discovering the next level. So do you have what would you say are some of the things that you maybe walk through your clients when they're trying to figure that out? Do you have anything that comes to mind when it comes to that? Like for the people who are watching the replay, like, are there things, they're clarifying questions, or just what to look at, what to get curious at? I would love to know where you come from on that.
Well, the word curious is very huge in the coaching industry. And, it's all about asking the questions to evoke the thoughts. And it's not necessarily about directing someone down a path. It's about helping them explore. So,
Right.
If I'm working in a team environment where maybe the leadership team wants a staff to go a certain direction, then, that is also possible. But, a true non-directive coaching practice is just about facilitating the process, and the
Right.
process, asking the questions, empowering others to just really explore. And again, the magic, these things, it's putting them to words.
Right.
And and so some people is like, well, do I really want to pay for someone just to ask me questions? But there is magic in the process, and I've experienced that magic, and it really is. It's transformational. So it's just really about the conversation and being comfortable and building that relationship with whoever I'm working with. We provide a safe environment. Everything's confidential, and it's just exploring.
I what I love about some of these processes is sometimes, like you said, it's in the conversation that we actually hear ourselves answer our own questions, because we every one of us has the answers inside of us. So sometimes I would say to maybe speed up the process, it's nice to have somebody who is pulling that information out of us for us to recognize it ourselves. I think a lot of times we know
when that light is on. Oh, it's so magical.
Yes, it is magical. And I really truly believe that we do know deep down what it is that we want and what will fulfill us, but it may be buried really far down there, or it's scary.
Absolutely. And fear holds us back so often. And it's allowing the idea of exploring what if.
Yeah.
And sometimes the what if is exploring, well, would that be so bad? Or,
right.
It's not necessarily always rosy what we're exploring, right? Sometimes we have to do the hard work to get to the good places. But it's just about having the conversation.
Yeah. And being really, if somebody's on this journey is overused, I don't know another word for it, the path, whatever it is. If somebody is on this, where they are really searching, and I say this from my heart because I was and I still am. I don't think it's ever ending, but it was really, really being honest with yourself and acknowledging the pieces of yourself that you really like, which are probably harder. Acknowledging the pieces about you or things about you that you don't like as well.
Absolutely.
I think you really need to bring both to the forefront to really step into that authentic person that you want to be, instead of trying to be something for everybody else or what you think you want to be. That process in itself is a beautiful, beautiful thing to witness. Like you said, it is magical when you see it.
Yeah. And, we call it strategic planning in a corporation, but we can do strategic planning as individuals as well, right? Identifying our strengths and opportunities and what the risks are. It creates, that's where we can start with creating the goals and the steps. Often people get lost in the steps, or, I don't know how to get there, or, and so it's really whittling that down to finding the starting place after that. So, there's a number of ways. There's the coaching and the discovery, and then there's the follow-up support. And, that's all part of what I do. So
that's awesome. I think I should say a lot of people, but I'm really talking about myself. It was that I just got completely overwhelmed with the amount of information that was out there. It was like, you don't know where to start. And sometimes it's just having that, it's almost like a funnel, like, okay, just bring it all back let's start here instead of trying to tackle every single thing that I'm interested in or curious in. And it gets overwhelming. And when we get overwhelmed, we tend to just close up. It's
Absolutely.
like, it's too much. I cannot do that. So I found the first time that I had the coach was, oh, okay. It just simplified it for me. It took the overwhelm out, and it just made it, to me, feel like it's doable.
That's right.
And I don't want to waste 10 more years of my life trying to figure this out. I want to get going now. So if somebody like you can get me to where I want to go quicker, that's what I want to do. That is my time and my money well spent.
Absolutely.
Because our time is, we all say this, right? Our time is too short. How are we going to make the most of it? How are we going to have that most fulfilling life, that life of joy that we are all here to live? Sometimes we need help, and there's no shame, and there's no, there's nothing to be embarrassed about when you're looking for some help. It's about creating the life that you want, that you desire. That's what I'm all about, is we are the creators of that. And sometimes we need some help.
Yeah,
absolutely. Don't get all the answers.
Just keep moving forward, right? No matter how small the steps, to keep moving forward. And, I blew my knee in 2018, New Year's Eve, and I was leading a ski trip at that point. And with youth? They were college students at that point. Yeah. But, I had booked a trip to Peru, and I had 9 months, and I was hiking the Inca Trail. So counseling wasn't an option. And, I got back and I had my MRI that I paid for so I could get in right away. And the doctor said, no, we got to let it heal before we go in and do surgery. And I'm like, well, I can't do surgery then because I got this and this and this and this. So I hiked the Inca Trail, the 3-night, 4-day trail, and with a knee brace and no ACL 9 months later. And
oh my gosh,
step, it was just move forward, just keep moving forward. And that just really solidified, that just keep moving, you'll get.
And it doesn't matter how big or small the steps that you take, right? As long as you're taking something.
Exactly. And a kind of a little fun story was the night before we embarked on the actual trail, the Canadian girls, we gathered in our hotel room, and I had brought these conscious ink temporary tattoos. And so
I know those. Yeah.
I had selected one that said, inhale love, exhale gratitude. And I put that on my forearm. And through the trek, I mean, it's a real emotional process to go through something like that. And so many times I look down and I'd see that. I'm like, okay, just breathe and take another step, keep going. Right. And I said to the friend that was with me, I'm like, I've always wanted a tattoo. This is it. And so we got back to Cusco and we went for tattoos.
Oh, no.
We're going before you change your mind.
I love that.
But
can you tell me what that says again? Inhale
love, exhale gratitude.
I got to write that down.
It's the mantra of my life. It's being grateful for every breath that we have, every step that we take, and every experience, whether it's positive or negative. It moves us forward. It teaches us, and it's what we choose to do with those experiences. So it's there's just, life is beautiful. Find the joy and find a way to just keep moving forward.
Right. And living from that place of gratitude is pretty much my mantra too.
And live out loud.
Yeah, and live out loud. And I absolutely love that too. I love that you're getting that out. I love your message, the amount of, like I said, I don't just say women because I think you help a lot of men as well. And we all deserve it.
Absolutely.
All deserve it. And there are people out there like you and me who just want to see them live that life that they are deserving of. And we're sharers of that information.
Yes.
And that's what we're here for.
Yeah. I love to collaborate with with other practitioners, with other businesses, other individuals, organizations. And absolutely, that life is about sharing and helping each other any way that we can.
Beautiful. Now, can you please let me know how they can get a hold of you? And then I will have to sign us off. So how can they connect with you?
Yeah, my website is now live. It's lesamueller.com, and it's Lesa. So my name is spelled differently, Mueller.com.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate you so much for being here. For those of you who are here, stick around for the next 30 minutes with a Q&A. You get Lesa all to yourselves. And for those of you watching the replay, thank you so much for your support. And as I always say to end off, you are more than enough as is, and just keep moving step by step, forward by forward. And
thanks.
we'll see you next time. Thank you, Lesa.